It's such a great pleasure to be joined here with Marcos Balter, composer, newly appointed professor of composition at University of California, San Diego. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And what a exciting ride it was to work on and perform your violin concerto, especially with Dave Bolin, who's just an absolutely stunning performer. So, can you tell us a little bit about this amazing piece, this puzzle of a piece?
Sure. I mean, it's been now what 4 years since I wrote the piece, and yeah, I mean, the piece was written for David. It was always a vehicle for Dave's awesomeness and his beautiful playing, and for the International Contemporary Ensemble as well. So the the birth of the piece itself was mostly Mozart's 75th birthday anniversary, and they wanted to do a night of concerti, of new concerti, whichever way composers decided to interpret that. So the International Contemporary Ensemble commissioned five close collaborators, five or four close collaborators to write concerto responses. Dai Fujikura, Lu Wang, Anthony Chung, and myself, and we could like pitch any soloists and take the concept concerto whichever way we wanted. And I thought about it very carefully, and I decided to just do the most non-composer thing to do, which is to, rather than avoid historicism, just go you know straight into it, and decided that I was going to write a concerto, in three movements, fast, slow, fast, that had like motivic development, that had all of the things that I was utterly afraid of touching, and sort of incorporating within my own aesthetic language. And that was the ictus, and also be very much transparent about the Mozart factor, the fact that it was going to be performed within mostly Mozart. So on thinking about um, Mozart's concerti, for various media, I always really really liked the violin concerti, but I also like the piano concerti. Piano is an instrument that, because it's mine, it's my primary instrument, I'm always like really afraid of writing for. So it's like, well, let's go for the violin then. And just listening to Mozart violin concerti, one of the things that always sort of captures my interest is the transparency of orchestration. I don't think that Mozart's orchestration is necessarily the best, but what I like is that it can always be extremely agile because of all its porosity, and all its um, leanness, if you will. So I decided that that was going to be yet another facet of this piece of music that, in spite of some passages that seem to suggest like a lush sonority, if you actually look into it, everything was very, very lean. That if you just shift one thing, half a millimeter, to one side or the other, you know, you know that there is something, that is off there.
This is a test for everybody.
Yes, it's funny because now that the piece is hopefully starting to be played by other ensembles, I want to see. My curiosity is always to see how those things translate to musicians other than the ones that I had in mind. It's great in your situation because you have the bridge. You have Dave. Who's
Hey.
doing the soloist part. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what how the musicians of the ensemble, you know.
And so it has been taken on by other groups. I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think that this is going to be the first performance by another group,
Uh-huh.
um, but there are two or three others that might be doing it soon.
Oh, great. I'm glad to hear that. Dave and I were concerned with this piece because of its very intricate nature, the rhythmic writing, the interaction between the soloist and ensemble, given that the wind players would have to be 12 feet apart from anyone else. So the distancing was tricky, but actually it really works very, very well. And the ensemble had such a wonderful time playing it. I want to just ask you a little bit. Everything you said is just so spot on, and it clarifies things for me so much. This idea that it is really it's a classical concerto. It's fast, slow, fast. It's three movements. And I want to just ask you a question about the second movement, which is some of the most beautiful writing. Oh, when we recorded it, I have to say, when we finished recording the second movement, I said, I'm really sad because I can't be with this movement now for until I get to do this again. It's so beautiful, and to me, it feels a little bit like I'm in a a tide pool, or I'm in a body of water where I drop in this gorgeous velvety harmony into the water, and it the waves move out, and then they come back in and they strike me again, and then they move out and they come back in, and then another harmony drops in the water, and the same thing happens, almost like slow wind chimes that are put into water in some ways. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you again for taking on this project. And please do send my heartfelt thanks to all the musicians involved. Like making music together these days is nothing shorter than an act of utter bravery. So, hat off, and much gratitude, and I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you.